But if you've shot 5 out of 6 and just click reload, he pulls them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and I'm like running around factory 4, 5.
The fact that I hate to say it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I'm Veritas, coffee ice cream enjoyer.
And I forgot to turn my AC unit off before I started the intro. Too bad.
Idiot.
Coffee. I do like some coffee ice cream, though. Like, a good coffee ice cream is real good.
That's like my default if like I just not feeling something like super sweet or whatever.
Yeah, some sort of bitterness kind of makes it, I don't know, enhances it a little bit. Have you ever been to Five Guys? Are they up there? Okay, come on.
I live in Croatia?
Dude, I don't know, bro. I play with all these Canadians that have been like, I've heard stories of Five Guys, but I've never been. Okay, have you ever had their
best
milkshakes?
That you can get.
Thank
I don't
you,
care.
by the way. Thank you. Thank you. I'll agree.
Take it over like when you go to one of those gourmet places and spend $30 on a burger. I'll take Five Guys burger over that shit.
For sure. For sure. It's like, yeah, there's probably fries better somewhere or an experience, whatever, but it's just like, if we're just talking a burger, just a burger handed to me wrapped in an aluminum foil, Five Guys is the best. Have you ever had their milkshakes?
Yeah, I love them.
Okay, here's what you do. I'm going to put you on something, okay? Because Five Guys has two...
I'm lactose intolerant, though, so keep that in mind.
I'm still going to put you on something. I enjoy it,
and then I get all fucked up.
I'm going to still put you on. They have two different types of Oreo flavoring. You can get Oreo cookie in your milkshake, or you can get Oreo cream in your milkshake, okay?
And you get both.
No, well, yes, that's called a double stuff. You get both. What you need to do, you get the Oreo cream and coffee. It's so good because their coffee is strong, bitter. Like, it is a very concentrated coffee, which I like. Even just the straight Five Guys give me a coffee milkshake, it's really good, but it's really coffee-y. So if you get that and the Oreo cream, it is an S-tier milkshake. It's very good.
Can you imagine Oreo cookies with coffee like filler?
Yeah, that would be really good too.
When I was little, I used to do the whole fucking, you like break it in half and lick the...
Oh,
and now like the older I get, the less I can tolerate like super sweet. Like when I have cake with like a ton of frosting, I just scrape half of that shit off.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can like, I'd probably enjoy Oreos better if I just took like half of the frosting off.
Yeah.
Because I'm a boomer.
Well, dude, the coffee milkshake, Five Guys, it's worth if you like coffee flavored things. Anyways,
welcome to the Creamcast. This is episode 1 of the Creamcast. We're here for all things cream, scream, and
how could this get
not
worse?
in that order, though.
How could this get worse? Dude, I saw...
This is a terrible pod. This is the stupidest podcast.
We found our intro. I saw you were playing Super Mario. I saw you've been playing a lot of Trackmania.
Trackmania, dude. It's my new addiction.
Yeah.
It's my new...
It's simple, right? It's just arrow keys. Right? Like, it's simple, not in execution. I'm saying it's like...
Chess is just move the fucking things around the board.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that in a good way. I'm saying, like, its barrier to entry is virtually 0, but its skill gap is infinite. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's always a fun combination where, like, anybody can get in at any time, but you can never stop getting better. Like, that's what I mean by simple. Like, that's great. That's cool because it's just like drop in, drop out fun. It's not like learning the rules of something and all the different combos. Yeah, like fighting games or the complexity of chess. It's just like 4 arrow keys and you're never going to be as good as you want to be at the game if you played it every day for the rest of your life. Like, there's something cool about that.
There are some really unique mechanics, like how but yeah, in general, it's accelerator, brake, left and right.
Yeah.
Like, all of the cars are identical. It's literally like, and it's deterministic. So there's no RNG. The physics are 100%. So that's why they can have like replay systems where like you can save a replay and it's like a kilobyte. And it literally is like at this millisecond, he pressed this button for this long.
That's
so you
crazy.
Can store like old school Doom, how you don't need to video record it. You can just like send replay files and then play it back and see every input they make. And that's how they validate cheating, actually, which is super interesting. you should watch if you haven't seen virtual with a W, his video on how they found like all of the cheaters. He's done multiple ones, but it's so good, dude.
That's crazy.
It's so good. How like people who were for like 5 years on the top of the leaderboards, like one of the like respected people, and it was found out like, oh, the last 800 records you've had have all been cheated. They basically played it at 50% speed until the program that these guys came up with were able to figure it out. But yeah, the game is fucking awesome. I spent maybe 20 hours straight on the same 23-second track.
That's insane.
And it never felt like shit. It was just addicting because you get a millisecond faster every time.
Yeah.
Like, so, dude, I'm 0.12 seconds behind the world record, and that is like an impossible chasm.
Yeah,
I'll never get it. I'll never get it. But it's so close that like half of my brain's like, dude, you can fucking get world record after playing the game for a week, and then the other half of my brain is like, bro, you realize that like 0.12 seconds is impossible.
That
like,
is
for you.
So funny and very interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. The amount of like optimization that goes into these things. I mean, it's like some of the fastest speed runs of any game. The longer they are, the bigger the gap.
Yeah.
You know, like 16-star speed runs, like the difference between the world record and second place and third place are like 1, 2, 3 seconds. With like 120-star, like what Cheese, who we've had on here before, is like, 30 seconds or something. These guys for a 20-second track that you can just quickly hit reset, start make a bad turn, hit reset, instantly start. It's like the epitome of optimizing speed run. I want every fucking speed run game to be like that, not have to reset my Nintendo and wait 3 minutes.
Yep,
while
to get
there's a
into
fucking
it.
cutscene.
Yeah.
But
that's
anyway.
super interesting. So you've been playing that. We got this new patch. You still just not feeling Tarkov? When was the last time you played Tarkov?
We got the new patch. I played 2 raids. And so I don't remember how close was the whole we banned 9,000 cheaters.
That was
thing.
like
was 2 days.
Yeah, it was like a few days before the patch.
And I'm like, oh, Pog, like let's go check it out. And then instantly died to 2 cheaters. And just felt like shitty. And then I played a bunch of other maps, and it was kind of just like meh. And then again, once you have a good game that like calls for you, it's
understood.
Like, it's an easy switch. It's not like there's nothing else to play, so I'm just gonna get my ass kicked by Tarkov. It was all right. Well, might as well switch to the game I want to play. But then I didn't play it for a couple of days. The patch came out. I went and checked it out, and I don't know, played a couple of raids and was like, fuck that. And then the next day, I played a couple of raids and was like, really fuck that.
Yeah.
And then I think that might have been like when we normally do the podcast on Thursdays, and I was like, bro, I cannot fucking, like, we can't do the podcast today because I'm going to be so
talk about
salty.
this game.
Yeah, I can't without everybody fucking hating, me for bitching the whole time. So
I feel you.
Yeah, all I did was make the content for my DLSS like comparison video that I just put out. That was the extent of like the last 48 hours of Tarkov.
Yeah, so this was definitely an interesting patch because, like, from a bunch of different perspectives, like, just like we weren't sure what was coming in the patch. They did that podcast and they did a bunch of stuff. They talked about the Lighthouse expansion. They talked about, and then they teased all those new bosses. And then they were like, but that's not really soon. And then there were all these quality of life things. And we were like, is that stuff coming soon or not? And then there was the DLSS, and all I thought the patch was going to be was like just DLSS. Like I thought that they were just going to be like, hey, we're installing, it's going to be down for 5 minutes. But then they did like an actual patch with patch notes, and they added some of that quality of life stuff, and they added a bunch of the other stuff. And it was definitely interesting. The community sentiment around this patch was definitely not very good.
I mean, here's the thing,
really
like,
understand.
I go from hating on the game to then like pump the brakes. It's like I wanna fucking hate the game for the right reasons, not for dumb reasons. But like all of a sudden, nobody was expecting like this huge game changing thing, right? Then they come out with a patch that's more than people expected. And then people are like, this is less than I expected.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was down here. They release a thing all the way up here, and then it ends up being here. And people are like, fucking dude, what are they even doing with 100%. Their time? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's such a douchey mentality.
I was streaming. I was like, and I didn't go on. I went on like 2 or 3 hours after the patch went live. I started streaming, and then like 14 minutes into my stream, somebody was in my chat like, dude, they should just roll back the patch. And I was like, dude, what could have possibly been so bad that they need to roll back the patch? Now, like you were saying, I want to be mad at the game, but for the right reasons. Like Hayes put out a really good tweet where he was like, I normally stay really positive about this stuff, but it definitely has me wondering what their QA process looks like for patches when every magnified scope in the game, if you looked through it, it was a blurry mess. It was like 420p. And I was like, that was a really good tweet, because he wasn't like, roll back the patch, this sucks, the devs suck. It was like a genuine question about like, I'd love to know how this slipped by, because if there's a genuine reason, then maybe whatever. But like, how could none of the playtesters have ever used a magnified scope and noticed that? You know what I mean? Now, good on them for getting it done quickly, because people have been asking like, when do you think they're going to fix the scope bug? And I was like, either 48 hours or 2 months, no in between. They're either right on it or it just gets lumped into the next major patch. And they did it 48 hours later. So that was cool.
So there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things there. Like one, in terms of QA, the question is, it's entirely possible that, you know, the QA sucks and they never caught it or nobody noticed it or whatever. And like when it got released, Nikita was like, it was the first he heard about it and was like, what the fuck? Like, you guys, or QA might have been like, hey, here, these are the issues. And then somebody, whether it was Nikita or whatever, like, just ship it. It's fine. Yes. We'll fix it. We'll do a hotfix tomorrow or whatever.
For sure.
I don't know. I have no idea which state of affairs it is. I mean, there are plenty of times,
either. Yeah.
There are plenty of times where, you know, like I go to Nikita and I'm like, hey, are you aware of this issue? And he'd be like, what? I had no idea. So those times I'm like, the QA, like, just, it's on them, you know, or the play testers or whoever, you know, went through everything before the patch. So, I mean, I do think they have maybe a shitty track record.
And that's what's so hard, is it's so 50-50, because like, exactly. And we have enough hard evidence, enough firm examples of us being like, hey, do you know about this? And then either Nikita or Dimitri or anybody being like, wait, what? And then us being like, how is that missed? And then, like you said, you've worked in software development enough. I can understand the concept of like, maybe they know that it's a bug, but it's not a game-breaking bug, and they need to push the patch out today because these people need to start working on the hotfix, or they need to be working on this. And by pushing the patch another few days to fix that, this whole other list of things then gets pushed back. So like, it's just easier. And that's a valid answer. That's a valid, like, they knew about it, they pushed it anyway, they knew they could make a patch. It's just, as the player, you know, the player never knows that, and it's so startling. Really quickly,
you gotta know about the optics of that.
Really quickly, I want to address the whole like, we are the playtesters, because like, that is not a catch-all, right? Like, you know what I mean? If they were like, we added inertia, you know, we put it out, and like 70% of the time when you load into a raid, your computer would blue screen. We're the playtesters. Like, no, like, somebody's got to test it to make sure that these things work. And it's like, that's just how it is. Somebody's got to test it to make sure it works. A lot of times they then put bigger features on the ETS so that more people play test it because more people testing means more rare bugs can be found. And then it often gets to us as beta testers to, test the game. But it's like, you can't just every time something's like massively broken, you can't just be like, well, we're the playtesters. Now they know. It's like, no, it's a live game. They know they've got 100,000 people playing. We're not that kind of playtesters.
No, I mean, the different like steps along the way are, a developer makes a feature and they feel pretty confident that it's like good. So then they give it to QA, and QA, you know, should, in a perfect world, have a list of requirements for the feature that some feature owner wrote down in Jira or on paper or wherever a month ago. or a year ago or whatever, whether it's been on the backlog or not. And then the QA person goes and says, good. The feature works. It doesn't crash the game. It's not buggy. Then they should give it a thumbs up to have it get merged into some development branch where the play testers are then going to, their own internal test, ETS, where they're going to have a few people give it a quick pass. And as long as it's like good and it isn't totally game breaking or a terrible experience, then we're the play testers.
Yes.
But nothing should ever get shipped to us completely broken.
Yes.
In my opinion,
100%.
The whole it's a beta as an answer to that argument is bullshit.
Yes.
And you also misunderstand. Like if that was acceptable, then I would lose like 95% of my respect for BSG if they were like, no, you're the step before QA.
Yeah.
Like fuck you.
Exactly. And it's hard because the game as a beta is a valid answer to different questions, but not that one. You know what I mean? Like the other day, this happened to me, this happened to Valiant, and then this happened to Seal last night, where there's like one very specific spot on Shoreline. And actually it happened to Baz today, but thinking that be, there's one very specific spot on Shoreline outside of the West Wing where like 3 branches, just fallen over branches, converge. And if you step in there, you can't get out. You can restart the game. You can't get out. It's like
I would never expect QA to find
teammate shoot me in the head, take out my loot. I'm not mad when that happens because a team of QA, like how many hundreds of thousands of Shoreline raids have to happen before a PMC's feet step in exactly those 4 pixels that mean I have to. Actually, Seal did get out. He's in here mauling because he did get out. He spammed his. If anybody gets in that spot, spam.
Look down, jump backwards.
No, you can't jump. You can't jump. You can't run. He absolutely spammed tab, his inventory, and his character like wiggled out.
That's some speedrun shit, dude.
I was like 4 seconds away from shooting him in the head because that bug happened to me, and I spent 10 minutes trying to get out, couldn't get out, had to have geeks shoot me in the head and then take all my stuff. I was like on my way to go kill him, and he was like, and he just like wiggled him out. But that's something where it's like, I don't like, we're the playtesters. Yeah, with enough of us, those types of things are going to get found out by us. I submitted a bug report for that, immediately got something back like, yeah, we're aware. There's a few spots we're working on it. I was like, cool beans. But like, that was valid where it was at least a valid point. And once again, I loved how Hayes presented it. It wasn't rage. It wasn't disrespect. It was just like, it makes me wonder how this got through QA. Like, he wasn't trying to be disrespectful. It was just a very genuine question. I was like, that I understand. But like,
yeah,
what this patch was a fundamental misunderstanding of what DLSS is. And a bunch of gamers mauling about their precious variable optic scopes. That's really it. Because everything else was either neutral or positive. Like me just booting up the game, I get 15 to 25 extra FPS on every map across the board, no DLSS. Like I have the patch notes here. The first 5 things are like, we optimized the 3D models here, we optimized this, we optimized that. And I was like, yeah, they put that on every patch notes. I'm getting frames, hundreds and hundreds of people in my chat saying where they were getting frames too. Bunch of quality of life things. The repair kits are cool. Like some of the other quality of life stuff they showed off is in the game and it's working as intended.
Dude, a bunch of the comments on my DLSS video were like, DLSS is cool and all, but it really sucks that when I zoom in my scope, I lose frames. So fuck DLSS. It's like, bro, where have you been for the last 100 years?
Dude, people have come in and have asked like
the new Steam audio.
Have they acknowledged the fact that with DLSS on, I lose frames when scoping in? I was like, turn DLSS off, leave the frame counter up, and scope in, bro. Like,
yeah,
you might lose a little bit more because of all the processing that's having to happen to now both renders of the game, but like, that's always been a thing. But like the scav inertia, did it change the world? No, right? Like it didn't.
I didn't notice anything
at all. It didn't change the world, but that's exactly it. It was neutral. So this whole like, everybody was like, roll back the patch, roll back the patch. I was like, I didn't get it. Because the only actual negative thing was like the scope thing, and they fixed it 2 days later. DLSS, we'll talk about that in a second. There was such a fundamental misunderstanding of what DLSS was by many people, and everything else was either a net positive or everything was like neutral, staying exactly the same. And so I was just like, it was so weird. People were so mad. Like I I don't know. I didn't get it. But yeah, I got a bunch extra frames even with DLSS off, and that made me feel pretty cool.
Yeah, so we can, if you want to, in a little bit, actually get more into detail on some of the DLSS stuff. But there's a few things I want to mention before I forget. So when it came to the scopes, I didn't notice. So first of all, I tested the scopes initially because the first thing I heard was they broke scopes, and of course I was like, not again.
Yeah.
And literally the only well, there was two differences. One, I was using, I think it was the Vortex, and I'm like, yo, it's like bigger on the screen. Like, I fucking love this. Like, what do you mean? This is amazing. And then I tested then I went through a bunch of the scopes. They all felt fine. I think actually maybe it was the Burris full field. But then I tested the Valde, and it had a little bit more of like the vignetting, but like that was something that we kind of, like Nikita talked about forever ago. He's like, it's a shitty, like prototypes, cheap Russian scope that like, so I mean that, and it's only when you're like moving, which is exactly what you would see through
100%. Yep.
So like, I'm actually okay with that. Like, to me, no part of the optics were broken. Now, when I turned on DLSS, when you're zoomed in, like, you know, the 6x or whatever, there's no problem at all, actually, that I can tell from the visually. When you're zoomed out with like the 1.5x, that's when you start to get like someone rubbed fucking Vaseline on it, and it just has to do with how DLSS works.
Yeah.
It's just basically like artifacting and you know, whatever. So, but I don't think, like, was there something wrong with scopes like an hour after the patch came out with DLSS off?
Yeah, the same. It was blurry. It was blurry on the 1x and super sharp on the 6x. And I tested a bunch of scopes, and like I would like set it up so like I would look at a tree and then stay zoomed in on my 1x and then move away from the tree so you could see the tree in my peripheral vision, and it was like it would sharpen up pretty crazy. Like, or I would
that with DLSS off?
Yeah, off.
How did I not see that? Because I started playing the same day.
Do you play at 4K or 1440p?
1440.
Okay. My theory, now I didn't get to test this because they've already fixed it. My theory was that was much worse at 1080p, and it was better at 1440p, and it was even better at 4K.
Do you play?
I played 1440p, and the reason that I have that theory is because like my chat 2 was like coffee ice cream. I'm jealous.
My fucking ice cream.
My chat 2 was like freaking out. They were like, the scopes are so bad, they're atrocious, and I didn't even notice until my chat told me, and then I was like, oh yeah, like it's definitely a little blurry, but like because when I'm in combat looking down a 1x, I'm not comparing the tree in my scope to the tree outside of my scope. I'm looking for people. I barely noticed at all, but people were like, it's unplayable. And then I know a couple of streamers, the ones that were like really mad about it on Twitter, I know that a few of them play on 1080p. So that was my theory, was that it was just like worse at lower resolutions.
Yeah, it could be.
Because I didn't really notice it at all, but it is fixed. Yesterday they were like, hey, we're doing a hot fix. We're fixing scopes. It could still happen under certain circumstances, but and we'll address those issues later, but this is like by and large helping. And I hopped right in, I grabbed the Voodoo, and I was like, yep, completely back to normal. Stop complaining. You know what I mean?
Dude,
it was just like 2 days.
I literally, it was totally split. On day one, when I started playing, 50% of the people came in and they're like, my game's running like shit. Everything's blurry. I hate it. And then like, it was like every other message was like, yo, I got a little bit better frames, cool, whatever. And it was like, well, which is it? And the truth is, it's probably both. Like, I'm sure depending on your system and your settings and all kinds of other shit, your mileage may vary.
Yep.
Now I will say that, and I don't know if this is correlated with DLSS or not, because I was turning it on and off. Like I was but I did notice a couple of times almost like a unique, slightly different version of like the OG stutters that I realize now that like I haven't experienced in forever.
Yeah.
it was always in like PvE, whether I was fighting like rogues or raiders or whatever. I mean, it might have been a coincidence, but like it was really fucking frustrating, dude.
That's crazy.
It was almost like everything would freeze for like a second, but like again, it was like in a different way. It was almost like someone hit pause on a DVD player and then hit play. Like it was more visual than it was feeling, which is hard to describe.
Yeah,
but
that's interesting. That is weird because in my testing with DLSS off or on, I didn't get a single stutter, and like I've kind of settled on like me having DLSS off, and like my game feels better than ever from like a feeling and optimization standpoint. I have noticed, and once again, I don't know if it's correlated at all to the patch, but I have noticed a lot more of like me and my teammate are running, and then like Steel will just like stop and run in place, and then I run past him and I look and he's just like flying off. Like I've noticed more of that since the patch, but I don't know, like other than that, I'm getting more frames. The game feels good. It looks good. The settings look good. Like I don't know, I haven't got any stutters.
Oh, that was the other thing too. I don't know. I think at some point they broke something, because if I'm in raid and I toggle my post effects on or off, it's almost like it doesn't properly handle it. I don't know how. It's like it applies my post effects with like another fucking terrible filter on top of it or whatever. And if I restart the game outside of the raid, turn on post effects, it's like fine.
Interesting.
But, and then there was also an issue. I don't know if it's like memory related or whatever, but when I was doing a bunch of testing, swapping between DLSS on, off, all the different settings, a whole bunch. God, I can't remember what the issue was. Maybe that's what like caused. It was just visual. Like it looked fucking terrible.
Really?
For me, like
Interesting.
I went from going like I very often people are like, this is the best looking Tarkov stream, you know?
Yeah.
Your game looks amazing, like all this stuff. And even I was like looking and I'm saying like, it looks like fucking garbage. Like with DLSS off, all the same settings.
Interesting.
It looked terrible. And a bunch of people were like, yeah, something looks off. So I don't even know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, something weird might be going on with like processing changes and like almost like maybe applying both settings or something, and then like if the game restarts or something it's better. But that is weird. That is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which would make sense if you were like ridiculously like off on, you know, trying to get all sorts of changing, you know, off quality balance performance, off quality balance performance, off quality balance, like maybe something got weird.
Yeah, I mean, so just the first day, because like I said, the first day I ran like 2 raids, and it was enough in that 2 raids. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it looks so shitty.
Yeah.
Now, again, I know that this is like your mileage may vary. So like some people say it looks great. I'm sure it looks great for them. All I can say is that for me, anecdotally, it seemed like visually things were worse. Yeah. I will say that like on factory, you know, I'm back to like the OG. I got 275 frames on factory, and on labs, you know, like 90. On a bunch of the other maps, it'd be 90, 95. Not reserve. There was a lot of really interesting things that you can see in my
I watched your video before we started the podcast.
So we might as well, if you want to, we can just get into like what my findings from that was.
Yeah.
So like, as you might expect, if you understand DLSS, now that I understand it a little bit more, but before I do like a science, like a proper Veritas, I'm going to have to read some white papers and talk to some of my connections at NVIDIA. Like I want to make sure I know my shit and not just like rumor mill, because I watched 3 other DLSS videos beforehand. Yeah. And they all said like different things. So I'm like, fuck, you know, it's no wonder that everybody's confused.
Yep.
But when you compare, you know, off quality, balanced performance, like on factory, it's 160 FPS, 220 FPS, 230 FPS, 250 FPS. So it like would go up, and up. There were some maps in some places where it was like 92 FPS for all of them. Mm-hmm. There were some maps or some places, whether it was like there's a lot of foliage or especially foliage reflecting in the water, that you could tell it was a ton of artifacting, but you were getting more frames. Then there were also other places where turning DLSS on, it might have been only 5 or 10 frames, but was getting less than with it off.
Yep.
It was just like a roller coaster of emotions, figuring out, like, I'm waiting for the comments for people to be like, what do I conclude from this? And the conclusion is, it's all over the goddamn place. Figure it out. But I mean, yeah, like overall, to me, as long as I'm hitting 60 FPS and my game's not stuttering, if I don't have the FPS overlay on, I don't care. Like 60 FPS or 260 FPS in factory, I don't think I would personally notice a difference.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I get what you're saying, and it goes back to what we were saying. Like, part of that, the answer is always going to be, I don't know, try it for yourself, right? But the hard thing is that, like, it's marketed from NVIDIA, not from Battlestate. It's marketed from NVIDIA as like a magic get more frames with this button thing. You know what I mean? Like, which is, of course, right? $1 billion company. They invested a lot of money in utilizing this new parts of their new cards to help optimize very specific use cases. And for a lot of people, it kind of is. But that's the thing, is that, like, when we talk about hardware and like settings, like you went through this with your settings video, you were like, here's my settings. But we have an infinite amount of CPUs, GPUs, you know, is your power supply enough? Is your RAM running at its optimal, like, you know, frequency? Like, there's all sorts of stuff. You have your NVIDIA, your Infinity Fabric overclocked. Like, it's so hard to tell. And in the patch notes, like, Battlestate Games tried to acknowledge where they were like, DLSS will give you an FPS boost only if your current graphics card is worked at 97 to 100% utilization. If your graphics card...
anybody exist? Like, does anybody exist there? Like, normally my CPU is 99% and my GPU is like 30%.
With a 3090. If you have a 2060, well, once again, it's very specific use case.
There's an infinite number of combinations.
Does your graphics card, is your graphics card 20 series or above? Do you play, like, this is actually the order of operations here, the most important order of operations. Is your graphics card a 20 series or above? If no, delete DLSS from your brain. If yes, continue. Do you play at 1440p or above? If no, delete DLSS from your brain. That was another huge thing, is that, like, on 1080p, it's going to make your game look worse and not really give you any frames, because DLSS was invented to take a higher resolution gaming experience, lower the resolution a little bit, do all sorts of AI shenanigans to kind of make it look like we didn't lower the resolution, and because of that, you get more frames. So if you're already playing
JPEG compression that I explained.
So if you're if you're playing on 1080p, it was not made for you. Of course, there might be use cases where you get certain frames in certain games or whatever, but it was not made for you. So do you have a 20 series or above? Are you playing at 1440p or 4K? And if so, is your graphics card maxed out? And with Tarkov, it's hard because, like, the reason you had such a huge frame increase on factory is because factory does tax the GPU so much harder because it's so much more confined. So the GPU can really ramp up those frames. It's not as CPU bottlenecked, a map like that that's small. Same with labs. So your GPU can, like, that's why on normally you get 60 FPS on Woods, but 90 or 100 FPS on factory. And then the DLSS kicks in. But like, yeah, I turned up my LOD to, you know, max. I turned up my view distance to max. I turned my shadows to max. And I was in Shoreline with 99% utilization on my 3090, 98, 97.
I'll have to look to
it would dip down when I would go inside or whatever. So it was just a fundamental misunderstanding. It felt like, this is obviously isn't true, but it felt like everybody in the community thought, if I have a GPU and I play Tarkov, I'm going to get more frames with DLSS on. And it was like, if you have an AMD card, you're out. If you have a 10 series card below, you're out. If you don't play on 1440p or above, you're out. If your GPU isn't maxed out, you're out. And of those people, if you play at 1440p and you've got a 2060 and you like your settings high, I've had tons of people come in saying they're getting 30, 40 FPS increases on almost every map. And I'm like, sweet, that is exactly who this is for, and that's awesome. But everybody else were like, oh, it makes my game look bad. It's like, well, it's literally lowering the resolution of your game and then trying to make it look like it hadn't. It's going to look worse. You know what I mean? So It was just like, I was interested to see what it would do because as a, with the 3090, it was like I wanted to see if I could crank the settings all the way up to high and then get more frames as a result. And it kind of like certain maps I got more, certain maps that didn't matter, and in general I didn't really like the quality degradation. You know what I mean? For me, it was like I can tell I have DLSS on and I'm only getting 7 more frames. That's not worth it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the one thing that annoyed me, even if I was getting more frames, which, like I said, sometimes I don't really count the worse because I think they were in the minority. It was pretty much always either on par or better. Or better past the point of me ever noticing. Is the ghosting. So like holographic sight, when you're going back and forth, it's like it's smudged. Or when you have a scope, if you look when I like zoom in now, it's one of those things that like the details subtle, so you have to zoom in to see it, but you can subconsciously, it's like something's off with this. Where like you'd see the ghosting of the fucking horizontal and vertical lines as you like move back and forth. Dude, the best part is that if you look at the factory office comparison part, the little motes of dust, they look like little spermies, dude. Like because they're these white circles that then have these little
ghost. Oh my!
So, dude, I swear to God, it looks like fucking. And I just saw a video. It was one of the Internet Historian's latest video, on his alt channel about childhood, and one of the things they were talking about. They watched a video on like how the sperm fertilizes the egg, and it was that same day that I was like, oh my God, they look like little fucking sperm, dude.
Oh my God.
The same thing with the birds. They leave like a fucking black chemtrail behind them, dude. It looks like some Death Stranding shit that's creeping me out. But yeah, so there's that. One of the other things that I noticed was, and you can see it in the video, inside of Interchange at night, I'm like looking up at the like Ollie sign indoors, and what amazed me is how there's that like noise, in the NVGs. It went away with DLSS. Dude,
I was going to bring that up. With DLSS on, the noise of NVGs, like that's gonna be the new meta. If you go night, just turn on DLSS to balance because it looks so much better. With DLSS on.
Yeah, like you can see I have like the butt of my gun is like all black but like white polka dotted, the Ollie logo, everything, and then like it's just purely solid color. No matter what the setting was. Now, one of the other things I noticed was that sometimes the balanced setting was more performant than the performance setting, but it's like you're not going to want to change your setting 12 times within a raid. So I don't know. Another thing that was weird to me, and I don't know if I'm misremembering, but normally when you were like indoors, like let's say reserve underground, that's when you tended to get, a little bit better frames because it's not rendering all of the buildings and all of the trees. It's backwards now with DLSS on, or I mean, maybe not even. Like when I was in, I think it's independent of DLSS. I think it's common to all of them, but like, let me look for reserve. So when I'm underground in reserve, I was getting 90 frames. But then if I'm on and like looking, I'm in the room with like there's like a couple medical bags or one like duffel bag and like gym equipment, like in the basement,
in the posters,
and like I would expect, and I would expect like that to be like that's the best frames you're gonna get inside a tiny room with static, and I was getting like low 90 FPS. But then if it was raining and I was shooting a grenade launcher full auto in reserve on a foggy day, I was getting 105 FPS. And then when I'm on the dome looking out over everything, I was getting 98 FPS. So why am I getting better frames now? Like I'm getting better frames when you can see the whole map. And on a sunny day with clouds moving and mountains. So like some optimization they've done almost feels like it swung it back the other way. again, not that it matters. Like if I'm getting 60 FPS, I really don't give a fuck. As long as the game doesn't stutter, I don't care. But so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of this that I need to do more research on it. But like DLSS stands for deep learning super sampling. So there is machine learning involved, which machine learning involves training, a neural network or whatever with a sample data set. I wonder if they probably did, and usually they need like bajillions of, images in order to like train. I have no idea the specifics. I want to do research on this, but I'm going to go and guess. I'm going to assume that they probably trained it with like 100 different video game images and whatever, and then they probably tossed in Tarkov, whether it's video or screenshot. I have no idea. Yeah. But like if they had an infinite number of Tarkov images that they could train it with, it would be infinitely better. I'm just wondering if it's just going to get better now that they have 100,000 or 10,000 or however many players there are playing the game, that if that's going to contribute to the deep learning aspect of this whole thing, and it'll just become more familiar with what Tarkov looks like.
That would be really interesting. That would be really interesting if it got better over time.
Because I mean, like let's say they've been working on this for a year. How many images or whatever, I just can't fathom that they would be able to generate a massive data set to train it with in-house, or maybe NVIDIA would sit and run scripts all day generating images from I mean, I have no idea. But like compare that to 10,000 people playing all day every day, and maybe that's going to contribute. I don't know.
It'd be sick though, for sure. But I think ultimately, I don't know enough about the technology, and exactly like you were saying, like I have done no research, I've read nothing, right? I don't know. So I don't know if some of the bugs that we saw were DLSS bugs. I don't know if they implemented DLSS poorly and it can get implemented better over time. I don't know if it's just a Tarkov thing. I don't know. So like all I know is that like a lot of people misunderstood what it was. So hopefully they can be educated on what it is. And then secondarily, hopefully the hope is that exactly like you said, somehow it just gets better over time, whether that's optimizations from BSG, whether that's the player base contributing to the machine learning that goes into it. But it definitely helps some people right now. Like I've had tons of people come in and say that it looks great on balance, that it's giving them tons of extra frames. And I'm always like, yo, what GPU do you have? And they're like, oh, a 2060 or a 2070. And I'm like, sick, dude. Like, yes, that's perfect. You do you. So
I have an article pulled up. It's from Digital Trends. It's funny, like I was just scrolling through, and the first paragraph my eyes focused on. So the AI algorithm is trained to look at certain games at extremely high resolution, like 64x super sampling. And they released drivers, blah, blah, blah. But originally, NVIDIA had to go through this process on a game-by-game basis. Now, with DLSS 2.0, NVIDIA provides a general solution. So the AI model no longer needs to be trained for each game. Now,
interesting.
Now, here's another interesting thing that caught my eye. And I don't know why. Again, I'm like listening to you while talking while also reading an article. It said originally it seemed like DLSS would be a niche feature for low-end graphics cards, which was before all of this stuff where everybody was talking about DLSS, that was kind of my impression.
Yeah.
Similar to what's the other feature that texture streaming or asset streaming, whatever the fuck it's called. That's like you're gonna get more for your money with lower end machines than like higher end machines. You don't MIP streaming. So maybe I'm like confusing the two, but I just remember DLSS basically, like my impression of it was that it was for lower end machines it's backwards. Like, I don't know why. Again, maybe it was the rumor mill got to me. I never spread this as fact, but what was in the back of my mind was basically that it was for lower end machines. It was going to like super sample lower resolution images to provide you higher resolution images without costing frames.
Yeah,
which is the backwards.
Yeah. It's like almost the opposite. Yeah.
But yeah, DLSS is improving all the time. The latest version 2.3 was released in November with an attempt to improve the AI algorithm. It now allows it to make smarter use of motion vectors, which essentially helps to improve how objects look when they're moving. It reduces ghosting.
Which it looks really bad.
Yeah, it makes particle effects look clearer, like sperm is what they mean by that.
Yep.
Temporal stability, 16. Well, what year was this? Was this 20? Let me look at the date of this article. It was 2022. So, I mean...
Because that's something that I noticed, too, was like... I was trying to think of, like, what else does this? I don't know. But I was playing Interchange, and I turned DLSS on again because I just wanted to see, and it was raining. And if with DLSS on, if I was moving at all, like if I was walking forward, I was looking at like this van, and it would look like the van wasn't moving, I was moving, but there was like an outline, a border, and it would look super jaggedy and fuzzy and weird. And if I would stop, it would settle in and become a much clearer image.
Yeah,
and then
dude,
you know what I mean? So like it was super interesting that it was, you could almost, screenshots would make DLSS look better than it is.
Yeah, so I have a clip that I'll have to send to you. I even took a local clip. I wasn't even like, chat, clip that, because it was that bad.
Yeah.
Where I was like on reserve and it was raining, and I don't remember if I was scoped in or whatever, but like it looked like if you were to take an oil painting that wasn't dry yet, and then you took a bucket of paint thinner and went on the fucking... Dude, it was like one big smudge where like the rain coming down was like, no, it was just like the worst thing I'd ever seen. I was like, holy fuck, like this is terrible. Now maybe they fixed it, you know, with like the hotfix, but that was on like day one where I'm like, wow, that's real bad.
Yeah.
Like, but you can't like my assumption was like, if this is how it's going to be, you can't have DLSS on when it's raining.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah. So,
but then when I did my comparisons on the video, there's a bunch where it's raining and I wasn't able to reproduce it.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
Maybe they fixed it.
Maybe they did. But yeah, that's DLSS.
Is it good? Who the fuck knows?
Dude, is it good? Who knows? Dude, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. My exclamation point DLSS in my chat is like, dude, I don't know. Just turn it on, man. Try it out. Once again, though, if you have a 20 series or higher, if you play in 1440p or higher, then try it out. If not, it does not matter to you. But the game is optimized well, and I've gotten a bunch of extra frames even outside of it, so that's cool.
Yeah, I do want to mention the initial. Dude, I was like in bed, and I got like 100 DMs, like the fucking sky was falling, where people were like, "Oh my god, game breaking! You can loot shit from offline raids and take it out with you, and you keep it." And then the other messages were, and this is an annoying ass bug, if you click deep down into your fucking backpack stack like we all do, and then you hit escape, you just keep hitting escape. Normally what would happen is escape would dismiss the window until you were back at the beginning, and then it would go back a menu to like your your
like
home
the main
screen.
Tarkov menu.
And now it's like all the menus except for the last backpack, and then it brings you back to the menu, and escape doesn't dismiss the thing. But apparently people were finding out that if you left that window open, you could go into a raid, it would stay open, and you could just fucking loot things into your bag.
Yep.
And it would go instantly to your stash.
Yep.
Now they ended up fixing that. Like, actually, you messaged me, I think, like the morning before or the morning after.
Yeah.
And you were like, yo,
I don't know how
about this?
I don't know how I went so long without noticing it, because everybody seemed to have known about it, but like nobody. And then somebody sent me a video, and I was like, holy cow. So I sent it to you because I was like, what the actual...
Dude, they were all selfishly fucking like, I can get infinite shit, so I'm not going to mention it.
But then it started blowing up on TikTok. People started posting like how to get infinite money, and then...
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the worst part is that, like, by the time we're playing at, like, 5 or 6 p.m., it's, like, 2 a.m. or whatever in Moscow, so there's always... It's the same thing with the people streaming cheats on Twitch. It's like, if you get enough reports, we might get them banned in an hour off Twitch, but, like, they're still going to be, they're not going to get dealt with until 8 hours from now when everybody gets up, gets out of bed, and gets to the office, right? Yep. Because like you can't expect someone to be on call 24 hours like exactly. a goddamn brain surgeon,
Exactly.
So that's why a lot of times there's like these delays with the issues. But yeah, by the time I started playing the next day at like 10 a.m., it was already patched.
Yeah.
So,
we got some other stuff. We got the new gun. Have you tried the new revolvers?
Yeah, it's dog shit.
Dude, explain to me why. I don't get why people think it's so bad. It's so good. It's so fun. Maybe I like it because I'm not a meta. Like, I don't know what people thought, but like some people I want to slap across the face and be like, if you didn't realize until you got the gun in your hand that a revolver wouldn't be as good as a Glock with a 50-round magazine, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying you said that, but it's like, oh, it's not that good. It's like, it's a revolver, dude. It's got six shots. Like, what did you think it was going to be? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I know that there was a bunch of rumors of aim issues initially. Yeah. I don't know if they fixed it. I don't know. My only experience with it was I saw a video. It was, I think, One Peg, did the whole like everything's broken, with the thing. But then in the example he had, it was a clear misunderstanding of. Are you familiar with? Now I'm forgetting the term. Center hold versus 6 o'clock hold.
No.
So normally when you have like the two, if you're looking through iron sights, right, you have your front post and then, well, your rear post in the front. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck to do this. So let's say if you wanted to aim for my eye, right? 12 o'clock hold, or wait, 6 o'clock hold. I don't know why I'm totally brain farting. I've known this for years, but basically you'd put my eye on top of the front post like this.
Understood.
So that's 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Someone is going to correct me because I'm brain dead right now.
Yeah.
So, and then there's center hold, which is basically like you put the front sight over what you want to hit.
Yeah.
So, and that's a thing like IRL. Now, as far as I know, Tarkov has always been like center hold, where if you want to shoot somebody in the eyeball, you put the front sight dot of like on a
their eyeball,
on their eye, so you can't see their eye anymore.
Yeah,
and that's where the bullet goes. So there's that aspect, and then there's also something about like the revolver,
single action versus double action on a revolver.
Yeah, well, that, but there's the other thing about like the bore is like lower, like the front like barrel, the whole thing is it's obviously like much taller than, because it's got a rail and whatever, it's much taller than the actual barrel. I think the barrel is on like the bottom half. I'd have to look again. Because I was so like tilted, I didn't even fucking look at the details. Maybe I'll just pull up the game and look. But yeah, so it was something along the lines of like it's in the bottom half. Yeah. Whereas most of the time you usually have like a guide rod or whatever the fuck in the bottom half and then the barrel in the top.
Yeah. So there's like a little bit of height of a bore.
Yeah, so One Peg's video, he was, like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 meters away. And he was aiming at one of those posters on the wall, aimed at the girl's eye, but like 12 o'clock hold or 6 o'clock. I don't fucking remember. So, and then the bullets were hitting like the cheek and the nose, which is kind of what I would expect. But he was like, yeah, it's shooting, shooting too low. And it was like, well, yeah.
That may all be true, but the point he was making was switching from single to double action would produce different results. It would, like, if on single action he was aiming at the eye and he would hit the chin, on double action he would aim at the eye and he would hit the mouth. That's what he was saying. Which is also potentially explainable in real life because it's a much longer trigger pull and stuff like that. You also got a tiny little bit of ice cream in your beard, just looking out.
God damn it. See, Jesse's a real one. There are people who have like a big piece of spinach in your teeth and just nobody says anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But like that was the point of the video, was that like the accuracy was different between the two. But like,
what would the difference be if it wasn't the accuracy? There was no trigger delay.
Yeah, wait, what? That's what he was saying. He was like, these two operate differently,
but he was saying that that's a bug, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why would they have single action versus double action? Like, what would the difference be theoretically?
Oh, I don't know. But
if not accuracy.
But they confirmed that it was a bug because the next day they fixed it. Like there was a list of changes, and the
Are we sure that was
double action accuracy or MOA was shrunk? What I'm trying to say,
I'm so confused.
What I'm trying to say is everything we've just been talking about the revolver is like so niche to me. It's still fun to point at someone's face and shoot, and they die when I do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like they increased the accuracy of double action as far as I know. They made the MOA slightly less on double action. I don't know, man. I don't know the answers. I don't know how it's supposed to work. I don't know how the fundamentals. What I know is it goes back to the more like gamification thing we talked about as opposed to realism. In a video game, I want to point at someone's face and click the button and shoot them in the face. If they want to add single action or double action just because the animations are cool, I'm fine with that. But on both of those things, I should aim at your face and hit you in the face. Like, that's kind of my opinion. But it was like, I just like didn't understand what people wanted out of it. The general sentiment is that the revolver sucks, and I don't know why, because all pistols suck. Like, that's just Tarkov, right? Like, every pistol in the game is definitively worse to have in your hand than any rifle in the game. So I don't know if people thought this was going to be the savior of pistols. My thing is that, like, and then they buffed the ammo. The FMJ, which is the high pen ammo, went from 32 to 35 pen, which is a pretty significant difference in percentile to pen a class 4 helmet on the first chance. The difference between 32 and 35, like according to Battle Buddy and stuff like that. So that was cool. I'm fine with that. To me, we talked about this last week, probably the week before. I'm going to say it again. You don't need to buff the pistol. You don't need to buff the ammo. You don't need to buff. Just let me switch to my sidearm quicker and let me use it as a utility and not a primary weapon. Everybody was going into raids for those first 48 hours with revolvers as their primary weapon, right? Like, it was just, that was their weapon. If I'm fighting you and I go click, and your arm is blacked, your armor is halved, and you're messed up, and I can go ba with a revolver, I'm dropping you, and that would be so sick. You wouldn't have to increase the damage or pen of the revolver or of any of the pistols to make them more effective. We've talked about this a bunch. Like, people are like, in order to make pistols more effective, you'd have to make 9mm better. It's like, I don't even think so, man. Just let me switch to that gun quicker. So I don't know. I just was confused yet again by, like, the revolver sucks. It's like, how? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe when I say it's dog shit, what I meant, well, I mean, it kind of reminded me of like when the 1911 came out.
Yeah.
That was, what gun would you like to see in Tarkov the most? It was the fucking 1911. And then when I finally got it, and I would go click, 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 and it would go bang. Bang. And I was like, God, that feels so fucking bad. It feels so bad. And then we had the whole like, oh, dude, you can't pull the trigger that quickly in real life. And it's like, well, look at my Instagram.
Yeah,
I'm untrained, and it proves you wrong. And then did you see the fucking...
Did you see Clean's video?
Dude, Clean's video was nuts. It was like... Dude, it was insane.
Everybody was like, nice bump stock, bro. And he was like, nah, dude, that's just me.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I've yet to take my the rifle out yet. But with that fucking trigger feels so nice, and it's the fact that it's like flat, and
yeah,
I'm sure I'll be able to fucking put some rounds pretty quickly through that thing. But yeah, like, I mean, and we've talked about this before. I won't get into the whole like why limiting your rate of fire.
Yeah.
Feels so shitty and is so bad, and how like macros have never been a fucking issue, like when it comes to like semi-auto guns in the game. Like, I've literally never, I don't think I've ever come across in 10,000 hours ever come across a single person I was like, they were using a trigger macro. So like, to make the experience shitty for everybody else, I don't want to go on that rant again. To me, it was just like, it's another pistol. Okay, like, I'm still just only going to want to use the 5.7 because I mean, I can run around factory and take out a 5-man squad with a 5.7. The Glock, it's a lot harder because I just don't have like a million AP ammo sitting around. But like,
that's what I'm saying, dude. Every pistol in the game would 10x in effectiveness if the draw speed was quicker. Because because it would be able to be utilized as a weapon to finish somebody off. Once again, if they're low health, if they're low armor, you know what I mean? Like, is the 1911 is at 45? Is that the 1911 that we have? Dude, 45 ammo, like 45 ammo is some of the best ammo in the game right now. Like, the AP is good, and like the second best gun is like there's like 5 or 6 ammos in 45. The second highest one for pen is like a viable leg meta round. Like, you can like 3-tap somebody to the legs with like the second highest pen round. At like 45 would be so good to have in a sidearm. Like, to whip out the 1911 after you've kind of like messed up somebody, you could put people down. It's insane. So that is like,
I'll have to try it again. I don't remember when it first came out.
Oh, the trigger thing, I can't click that fast, so I would never know. And absolutely right. Against armored targets, almost every single pistol in the game isn't very effective. I guess, Mike, the confusing thing was just like, who expected a 6-shot revolver to be more effective than the high-capacity mag weapons pistols we have in the game?
Everybody that ever played Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, CSGO, where if you hit the head, it's like a one-shot kill, or, you know.
But that's what I was saying in chat the other day. If the revolver was like 10% more effective than it is right now, it would actually be anarchy in the streets, that it was OP and that it would need to be nerfed.
It'd be the new Mosin.
100%.
And instead, there'd be no reason to run Flechette in a double barrel.
That's what I'm saying, dude. So it's like, it just bugs me, because I'm like, it acts exactly like a 6-shot revolver should act. It hits pretty hard. There's high flesh in the soft point rounds. There's a really decent amount of damage in the FMJ rounds. It's got 6 bullets, man. I don't know what you expect. If it had 48 pen, everybody would be whining and complaining that they'd be getting one shot through their ULACs and fast MTs with revolvers. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know what people wanted. The reload is atrocious. I don't know why they didn't add the speed loaders. He literally said they were going to, and then they didn't. I don't understand why.
I'm just assuming it's coming later. I mean, like most of the guns, they come out without any mods, and then later.
I don't know. I've never reloaded a revolver like that in combat, but the animations look so like dainty. Like, he's so gentle with how he's like, oh, let me get in there and just pull this one out. Let me get this and let me pull this one out. Let me get it. Like, his fingers it looks like they made the fingers smaller for that animation. He's like, let me just
that's when he puts it in, right? Because when he pulls them out, you slap the fucking thing.
Not if you've only shot 3 of 6 rounds. That's a combat reload. If you've got a revolver, you go bang, 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 and you just click reload. He pulls the 3 shells out and then puts 3 back in.
Is the combat reload like a quick one? Yeah. Or are you talking about when you're, if you're out, like if you shoot all 6 rounds, then he should slap the fucking extractor.
He does. Or if you have all 6 and you shoot 3, if you double tap R, he'll slap the extractor and put all 6 out and reload it. But if you've shot 5 out of 6 and just click reload, he pulls them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and I'm like running around factory 4, 5.
The fact that, I hate to say it, but like the fact that you're wearing gloves, like, I think that for me, because I got a little 38 snub nose. For me, wearing fucking, like, if I had mechanics gloves on, dude, I'd be like, fuck. No. It would be like me trying to open my golden star. Like,
I get it. I get it. It just looks, I don't even want him to change it. This isn't even like me complaining. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, speed loaders would be sick.
Dude, okay, wait a minute. This might be game changing. Because I just took out the M45, which is like the kind of tactical 1911.
Oh yeah.
It's not like the 2 world wars,
Yeah.
Like Colt OG, and the rate of fire wasn't limited. So let me test out the.
Interesting.
Dude, it's no longer limited.
Don't say anything. Just Accept it. Don't tell. We can. I mean, tell. Just shh. Don't let Nikita change it.
Oh my God. See, that's the thing, is that like I'm still gonna be, trying to aim for the head and tapping, right? But if I get accosted, like I'm gonna just click, like it's kind of similar to like if you see, Clean on one of his 1 or 2 videos ago, he was like a range stream, and one of the drills he was doing was he was basically like almost within arm's reach of the cardboard. And he basically would start with like his hands out, and then he would lift up his shirt,
draw,
and go bang, bang, bang. And that's kind of what you need to do. If someone's coming at you with a knife, you basically need to like put your hand here, get it out of the fucking way, and kind of lean back. And that's what happens if all of a sudden I'm opening a door and someone's running at me. I need to spam bullets. So when it's like click, 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 it feels like when you lag in a game and you're like aiming and it's like that's what it feels like because you're doing inputs and the game is like throttling you. It's,
100%.
It's like when you need to run and you hit shift before W and you're like just walking,
bro.
It's the worst feeling. That's how it feels for me to click.
I do that all the time. Is there like a hack? Is there like a way to make that not happen with your keybinds, or am I just a papega? Because I hate that.
So that was introduced at when two different things were added to the game. As far as I know, it was when it was when they fixed the streamer strut. I don't know if you remember that from the history of Tarkov, where you could just shift, let it off, shift, and you would just take a big step, silently take a big step, and it was the most AIDS thing. But like you could not do it because you would just be trained to like move quickly while being silent. Yes, please.
100%.
But then at the same time, that's also when they added more keybinds. I think it was when they added the Mosin too. I'd have to look back at the history, but when they added more keybinds, that's when they changed it to where something happened and shift was like to hold breath now conflicted with shift to run. So that's why like I have run on hold, but hold breath on like press, I think, because I use shift for both. I'd be willing to bet you if I bound run to like numlock or something, like completely out of the way, that maybe I haven't tested it in like 2 years, just because it's like I don't think I can unlearn run. Like what the fuck am I gonna? Maybe I should bind hold breath to like something.
I
totally
have hold
different.
breath on alt, and I don't have anything except for run on shift.
I might do that because I normally have free look on alt, but I wouldn't want that before when you could free look while you're aiming. But now that you can't, maybe I'll put it to like press.
I have free look on that middle mouse button.
Yeah, I think that's the default, but fuck that. I mean, so maybe there's just no way around it, but it's super annoying. I want to be used to be able to.
Yeah.
I want to be able to hit W and then hit shift and run, or shift and then W and run.
Yep. Dude, same. It gets me so often in firefights, dude. That gets me killed a lot. Yep.
Now I gotta see right now if I'm editing preset. I forget now because I was so angry that they killed my boy when it first came out. I'm like, oh, this is fucking useless. Like it's just fucking useless. I'm not gonna use it. Oh yeah, and now it's been rebirthed, dude. Both of them are good again. I'm amazed. Oh, okay. So back to the revolver. The reason why it felt like shit when it first came out. First of all, it's like the new thing, and people always just expect the new thing to be awesome, right? Why would they add a gun to the game that's just?
I guess that's true.
17th. It's 17th in the ranking of 20 guns. Like, oh, cool. It's another gun I'm never gonna use.
Yeah.
So I think they were like Pog to be one tapping heads, like fucking that High Noon guy and from Overwatch. But maybe it was the aiming issues initially that fucked with me.
Yeah.
To where like I'd be walking and I would like aim at a guy's head and be like, boom, and then it would just miss.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I was just missing so many of my shots with it that maybe I'm bad, but maybe that was the pre-patch.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, I don't remember
so
if so using it now, someone will have to correct me, but I vaguely recall you having the shots limited, like a lot of the other guns, when you click, it being the same single action versus double action, which to me was like, I can see it being limited with double action because it's probably like a 15-pound trigger. But like, I would be okay if it was, you can't spam it double action, but you're more accurate or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can spam it single action.
Yeah.
But I vaguely recall that on day one, it was limited no matter what. So I'm like, it's just another gun I can't click fast. Like, fuck this. But then when I just tested it now, double action was limited and single action wasn't. I don't know if there's an aim difference, but maybe that was the intention. Because otherwise, there needs to be a difference between the two that's not just animation.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So it either needs to be the speed at which you click or the accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
or a combination of them both. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Maybe I'll give it another
I mean, you're
try.
definitely right that there's an element of new gun in the game. That's exciting. Wait, new gun isn't better than all the other guns. This gun sucks. You know what I mean? Which is depressing to me so much. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. But yeah, so I think the Revolver's fun. I'm going to sit on this soapbox forever. Apparently clean. So you saw the Lucas. Did you end up seeing that video? We talked about the T-Rex arms video, the how realistic is Tarkov. That's where I got the idea. That's where he said for the first time, like, you should be able to switch to your sidearms much faster. And I was like, holy cow, you're totally right. Did you ever watch that video?
I did, although people have been asking me, did you see the new like T-Rex arms? And I don't know if there's been another video or if they're referencing that one.
I don't know. I there might have been another video, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Clean did a reaction video to that original T-Rex arms video that we talked about the other week, and he was saying apparently that like BSG like took a lot of notes from that video, because it kind of makes sense, right? Like those guys have, I mean, tens of thousands of hours of like range time. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys that work there. I don't know if Lucas himself was like ex-military or something like that, but I know a lot of the guys that work there do. Obviously, Lucas is very proficient.
I heard that he's kind of, and I have no idea if this is true, but I heard from a few different folks that like he's kind of has like a not great reputation in the firearms community, or maybe like he's a meme, or they like, I don't know if they just laugh at him because he's like maybe not a huge buff dude, or I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea, but I mean, maybe it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Unfairness or whatever, but
Nikita said that BSG was taking a lot of notes from that video, and so I'm holding out hope that one day they increase the speed at which you switch to your sidearms.
People in chat are saying that he's not ex-military, so maybe it's just like, you're not one of us, you're not fucking like legit. It's probably something like that.
We did get some AI changes. Once again, they didn't really position it as if like we fixed the AI. All they said was we improved the rogue AI to enhance their teamwork interactions, which literally nobody knows what that could possibly mean. And
none of the things I talked about in my video as to why they were ever broken.
Yeah, they're added inertia for bots when accelerating and decelerating, speed settings for bots during stationary, turning, and running, and they shouldn't shoot while switching stances, which that line has been in like 6 patch notes at this point, so I don't know if that's real, but
has it been? What I know they've said multiple times was we fixed insta crouching and then proning out all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know if people are convoluting or if I've missed those things, but I know they've mentioned that a million times and it hasn't been fixed until I think fairly recently. One of the patches now makes the only time I see them prone is when they're like 40 meters away.
Yes, I have noticed that.
And then they prone and actually start shooting. They don't prone and then get right back up.
Yep. I have
but
noticed
they
that.
still insta one fucking frame crouch.
Yeah.
They still do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if people are confusing.
Maybe, but they shouldn't be. And I don't think I've noticed them shooting while mid animation these past few days. So
I don't remember them doing that for a while, but I might just be misremembering.
Yeah. Dude, those Reshala guards would shoot you in between a crouch and a prone, and it would just be like, what the hell? Like,
oh, I never lived long enough to see him crouch or prone. Yeah.
So like, yeah, the AI, the inertia, I can't really tell, but they didn't.
I haven't noticed any inertia.
They didn't make the AI worse. I guess we could say that.
Yeah. So I had 2 noteworthy AI experiences. I don't know if it's better or for worse, but now Tagilla is an exit camper.
Oh.
I don't know if
definitely fixed his AI, or at least made it better than it was.
Yeah, so I spawned forklift, and dude, total quick side note, when you spawn forklift, it seems to me, I'm fairly certain there's two like scenarios. 50% of the time, there's someone in glass hallway and someone around by the breach door over there, or multiple people, like you are surrounded.
Yeah.
Or there's like, if I look down glass hallway, assuming I instantly run out, so that if I instantly run out and look down glass hallway, if I don't see someone behind the box or running out, then I know nobody spawned there. I know nobody spawned around the corner. So I just instantly run around the corner, don't even aim, nothing. I know no one's there, and then I run down the hallway, and there's almost always like a 2-man squad.
Yeah.
Either by those boxes, silos, or in the medical tent. So yeah, I'm like learning some of the arbitrary new rules.
Yeah, for spawning. Yeah.
Because back in the day, it used to be like before the expansion, if you check to the left and check to the right and there's nobody there, that would mean there's like a 4-man that spawned in the opposite, like gate 1 or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Like that's when you knew they were rushing up. They had already run up the fucking scaffolding and they're going up the opposite stairs. That used to be like the thing. But I spawned forklift, and then like 3 seconds later I heard and I was like, oh, okay, shit. And then I like ran around, was trying to find. I think I had the revolver, or maybe this is when I was running flechette or whatever. I had the UMP. That's what it was. And then after a couple minutes, I just ended up. I had a weekly to survive like 50 raids on factory. So I'm like, I'm just gonna get out. Like I got like a couple of scav kills. I'm like, I'll get out. And I see the dead body right in front of gate 3, like that first door. The second door was open. I'm running in, and Tagilla is in the back corner, like where you would exfil, just sitting there crouched. So I'm like, oh fuck! And he instantly pulled out his gun and started. He went pop, pop, pop. Now I aimed down sights with my 45 Vector and was like, bang, 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 and all of his shots missed. It almost looked like he was getting aim punched.
Oh.
He didn't hit me with a single bullet. I killed him.
That's
and it was like,
interesting.
Because I haven't seen him shoot his gun in forever. Normally what happens is I know he's there, I peek him, hit him with 2 bullets, and he'll either pull out his thing and like run backwards, run forwards, or whatever, and then I can just spray him down with the 1 magazine. Or
would heal.
Yeah, or that's right. Yeah. Or he would heal and not shoot. Now it seems like he's actually back to fucking shooting.
Yep.
So I'm sure
he's back to shooting, and his pathing is much better too. I've had him push in, like I spawn forklift and I kill the guy glass hall and I'm like looting him, and he pushes all the way in there. He'll breach the door and charge in, and I was like, what, dude? Yeah. So he's all over the map now, which is great because he would. For like months.
That's how he was at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When they first added him, whatever, 12.7.5, he was great. Ever since 12.12, this whole wipe, he would just spawn and run into behind that little freaking dumpster and just sit there and wait, and you could just get him every time. So yeah, they made him a lot better for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And then when I played the rogues, I think I played 1 raid. This was like when I played the 2 raids, and I like just was like, I'm fucking done with this game.
Yeah.
I was on Lighthouse, and I did my whole run up, like the same strat where it's like run up to this fucking big metal container, look at the guy on the left, grenade launcher, hit him in the head, go look over in the right, grenade launcher or machine gun, hit him in the head, run over, look at the guy up on the MG on the roof, hit him. The only difference was that before, what would happen is you'd shoot the guy and then like the other dude would not do anything. He wouldn't respond. He wouldn't move. And then eventually he might even run and get on that gun, which is like you see your friend die to a sniper on your machine gun, run over and get onto his corpse. But now it just seems like they're doing a lot more running. We're like, if sometimes you'll aim and you'll pop a few shots and they'll get off the gun. Whereas before, they would be shooting at you even though you were at an angle that they couldn't reach. So you could just pop them in the head. So there was that. So then also before, after clearing out the left building, I would look towards the middle building, hit the guy on the MG on the front, and then there's the other dude on the back left where there's all the metal that's like blocking him. And then I saw him instantly run, which before he used to just sit there. But what was fucked was the 4 raiders on the ground.
By the second warehouse.
Because like I was throwing nades inside, they weren't responding. I ran in the building, couldn't see anything. All of a sudden I'm getting shot and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like looking up on the scaffold and couldn't see him. So then I back out, go up the hill, kill the other guy on the machine gun. And while I'm engaging the guy on the machine gun, I hear the 4 of them just rushing out from either a corner of the building or from the door. And like I take out one, another one like blacks out my leg. I go running. I'm behind like the trailer, like the and I'm like trying to heal. And then 2 push around the right side, 1 pushes around the left side, and I like 1 tap the dude on the left, kill the other guy on the right, and then I had to reload, or use like a stim because I was like really fucked up. And then the next guy comes over, and I'm like reloading. He runs over, gets on 1 knee. I'm out of bullets, so I literally just walked up and went to hit him with my fucking RR, and it was like clink right off his head, and then he was like and killed me, and I'm like, fuck, like I'm done with this shit, like I can't. There's something about I fucking hate melee weapons, dude. Whenever I do a viewer kit, I'm reminded every time because I'm aiming for where it looks like it would hit, but it's the center of the screen. So you have to just aim as if you were shooting a gun, but normally what happens is like I end up aiming like a little high, and it just like misses their head every time.
Same for me. Dude, I know exactly what you're saying. It's very counterintuitive. It's not where you would. It looks like it's hitting. The damage point is right in the middle, just like where your gun is. Woof.
But yeah, so I mean, it looks like the rogues are just the same exact as they were now. They're just less predictable. So fucking sweet. Thanks.
You gave us half of it, but not. Yeah. So AI doesn't really feel any better or any worse, really. I guess I don't know. I guess I haven't done Lighthouse enough to know rogues, but the scav inertia hasn't done a whole lot. But but hopefully they won't be shooting while changing stances.
Dude, normal scavs seem. It's so funny because they're like, did they mention about normal scav AI? Like they made them better? I don't remember. Someone said yes, someone said no. Because the normal scavs, part of me was excited that like maybe they listened to me because how long have I been saying I wish they would just shoot at you like stormtroopers?
Yes.
But part of me was pissed because like I had the vague recollection that they were like, we made the AI better. And it was like I would walk up to a scav in factory, look at them, and they wouldn't like even flip me off. They would just yell and strafe for like 10 seconds, not even fire. And then when they did fire, they'd miss me, which is like exactly what I wanted. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh, they made it better, huh? Like, did they make it better?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe if it wasn't in the patch notes,
I didn't see anything about it in the patch notes.
But like, I guess it's like if they didn't say anything about the patch notes, then they made them better and reworked the scav behavior mechanics on factory while players are fighting to Gilla.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant, but that was interesting. For sure.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So,
dude, they added some interesting stuff. So like, dude, okay, so where is it? The disabled environmental sounds like wind or rain while loading into raid.
People were just like they were just like I don't want to say coming, but I'm just gonna say it because it's what I'm thinking. Oh God, thank you. And it's like I never even noticed it.
Are you serious, bro? When it's pouring outside and you're stuck waiting for players for 7 minutes, and like I'm trying to talk to chat, and it's just like, I mean, I can
hit
just
the mute button.
Yeah,
and,
but it's just super freaking annoying. Anyways, what's funny about it is when you click ready to go into a raid for 10 seconds. Whatever, and like the environmental sounds play, and then they stop, and then they play again when you load into a raid. Like it's like a weird fix. They didn't fix it. Like they just at a certain step it goes away, but it always plays for a few seconds still.
Dude, I think I heard rain and then silence, and then it was like clear.
Yeah, I think
it's almost like it played rain.
It might even be whatever the last raid's weather was, but it's just so funny because like it's like we were close. You know what I mean?
Have you played labs since the update?
No.
So I will say, you know how you spawn at the top of the stairs and it was like,
bro, yes.
Now when I the like 1 or 2 raids I played it, you would hear like the elevator clink 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 going down. And it was like, and the wind, but it was like really quiet.
Interesting.
So like that seemed good. That didn't
cool.
seem fucked up.
That's cool.
But yeah, I did notice the rain weirdness.
Yeah. We got the re-rolling of the dailies and weeklies, which
Didn't they say you were only going to be able to do once? I've just been re-rolling. I did it infinitely.
Say that. I assumed it because I didn't know that you were going to be able to re-roll each one an infinite amount of times. Now, I saw a screenshot of somebody who re-rolled his weekly to the point where the next re-roll costs 28 million rubles. So you
Holy
can.
Shit.
It definitely ends up capping you off because of the money. But, yeah, you can re-roll all of them an infinite amount of times. The price increases as you go with the trader reps. Sometimes I've been able to re-roll some with just money, no trader rep. I've been able to re-roll some where it costs money and trader rep. I've seen people re-roll where it costs like euros and not dollars. And then this is what's interesting, and I don't know if this is intentional or not. If I re-roll a like find and transfer quest, I won't always get a find and transfer quest in return. So yesterday,
no, I think it's just random.
So yesterday I had 2 quests I hadn't accepted, and they were both extract from customs via the car 5 times. It's like 60,000 XP for one thing because they were both 30,000 XP. I was like, Pog, like this is kind of nice. So you just get like a random one. It doesn't.
It's a random one from a random trader. It seems like. There's 2 things with that. I'm kind of glad that you can re-roll them like infinitely.
I'm okay with that too. Yeah.
Now I will say that there's 2 issues. One, I don't remember where the accept button was, if it was centered or if it was like right.
Centered, yeah.
But now I almost always, I'll finish a quest and you can still has like turn in and replace. Yes. Why would I want to replace a quest? I'm like, they should get rid of replace if you have fulfilled all requirements.
Yes. Dude, yes. If it's turn in 5 found in raid soaps and you turn in the 5th one, it goes bum 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 bum, like you completed the quest, but you haven't got the XP yet. You have to click complete, but replace is still up there. Yep.
I ended up accidentally replacing one that I finished, and then there's been like 6 times where I'm like replace, ooh, cancel.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So and then also there's one other bit, and this is like a user experience thing. The only way that the rep is meaningful to me is if I need to know what my rep is going to be to bring me back down to like level 3.
That's a thing that what we never needed to know, because there was literally no way to lose rep in the game until this very moment, other than the 3 quests in the game that lose you a little rep. And those quests are so early on that it still shows you what rep you need to get to the next level and your rep. So you can do that mental math. Now, when you get to max level, there is no requirement for the next level. It's just your rep. And it's like, wait, how much am I sacrificing? How close to the line am I? 100%.
I can't fathom all of a sudden going from level 4 to level 3.
Dude, imagine on something like Mechanic, where all those weapon parts are like 8 times as expensive on the flea. Like, that would be brutal. Yeah, so they absolutely need to add that. You need to know when level 4 is so that you don't go below it.
Yeah, like maybe even if you like hovered over like the tab, if it just like had a little tooltip, or I'm sure there's a million ways they could do it, but maybe I'll have to do like a quality of life short explaining that. But yeah, I mean, otherwise I'm happy with those.
Yeah, the rerolling is great. It's going to be much more impactful for like guys like you and me next wipe. You know what I mean? Like right now, I'm not too concerned with dailies or weeklies because I have Kappa. You know what I mean? It's like whatever. I'm sure a lot of the people that are in the level 20s, 30s, and 40s are like kind of vibing it because it helps you farm more XP. So I think it's a great change. Some of the other quality of life stuff. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick. So I had a Jaeger task that was find and transfer 10 AA batteries. And here I am thinking like, I don't remember how many AA batteries I have. I have 5 scav junk boxes full now. So you can accept and then
replace.
And then I was like, turn in, and there was only 5. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to be able to get batteries. I'm not going to pay attention to that. Replace is still there. And I was like, okay, if replace is there, it's probably like extra penalize you for like accepting it. But no, it's 16,000 rubles. And there's no rep penalty.
That's nice. That's a good to know right there.
That's a nice quality of life thing that I feel like is a bug.
Accident. Like, yeah, totally accidental. Yeah. 100%.
Anytime there's anything good, dude, it's always accidental.
Yep. We got the repair kits. Have you seen any of those? I just bought both of them off the flea to test them.
What are your
thoughts, opinions?
Yep. Dude, I'm so fucked right now in the head.
Armor repair kits are insanely valuable. If you planned on playing a bunch of Tarkov this week, I would tell you right now to go buy 10 off the flea market. Because yesterday they were about 400,000 rubles on the flea. I don't know if you have them up right now. Armor, not weapon, armor repair kits. They're about 400.
Type repair. There we go.
They were about
300K.
300K.
70K. Well, body armor repair kits are 300K. Weapon repair kits are 70K.
Okay, so 300K for an armor repair kit. All right, it's got 1200 HP. It's like a grizzly, essentially, right? And when you go to repair an armor, depending on how much that armor needs to be repaired, it just gives you a number. It's like this is going to consume 70 of your armor repair kit, or 100, or 200. You know what I mean? Okay. I have a Gen 4 in my stash, a Gen 4 Assault that I got off a Raider that's like 16 out of 65. Repairing that costs 100 points of the repair kit. Repairing it with proper costs 270,000 rubles.
And then would you...
So I would still have 1,100 HP in the armor repair kit, and it repairs at the level mechanic repairs.
I'm buying this one. Oh, I don't have enough money. I spent so much money on all the science shit that like I have no fucking money left over.
So repairing that Gen 4 with mechanic would probably cost 400,000 rubles, and that would cost 1 armor. So
dude, I'm actually going to be able to repair this Zabralo that I have.
Yes, dude.
That's 6 out of 85. That would normally cost me. It's 107,000. But with prop or and a mechanic, it's 317K.
Exactly. And so those things are insanely valuable. I think that maybe they shouldn't be purchasable on the flea market, and their spawn rate should just be tinkered with, because like...
Yeah, for sure. Let me just buy this first one here.
For the rest of time, I'm not going to repair with the trader again forever until it's banned from the fleet, right? Because the value will always be insane. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to save me tens of millions of rubles over the course of a few weeks with how many times I repair armor. You know what I mean? It's insane.
Until they add the modular armor, and then it'll go back. It'll be worth 20,000 rubles because buying a plate is going to be worth 20K or whatever.
Now the weapon repair kit, is 70K on the flea for that exact reason. 80% of the player base probably never repairs their weapon. You know what I mean? When you do repair your weapon, you're repairing it from 89 durability to 93 durability, and it costs 72 rubles and a lollipop. Like, it's just like it's just not.
It's a first world problem to have a gun with durability. Like, I just die before I.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's you either die before you get to repair your gun, or you replace your gun after 3 raids because its max durability will be below 93, so it's going to start jamming and the meta, you can just buy an upper receiver or a lower or whatever it is. Like, so the weapon repair kits, I don't really see a value for them. The armor repair kits are tremendous value. Slicks, or sorry, not Slicks, Zabralos, Gen 4s, all these armors that are notoriously really expensive to repair is nuts.
Yo, you can bring it in a backpack. Does it work in raid?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Womp, womp, womp. Okay, let me see how much this Zabralo is going to cost. I just bought one. It was $355,000. Take this Zabralo that's 6 out of 82. Man, that was worth like fucking 3 million rubles back in the day. And then you can just click and drag it over the item. Thank fuck.
Yep.
Like now that they've added the ability to do that on like non-mods.
Also, when you right click any armor and click repair, it'll default to the repair kit, not to proper.
Okay, so DP to repair. How do you see how much it uses? Oh, repair points to pay. 141
out of 1,200,
and it repairs it the same as. Actually, in this case, it looks like it repairs it. It repairs it the same as no, skier. It's basically similar to skier. I'd be willing to bet that there's probably like a skill that's tied to, like weapon maintenance, or I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, so it uses 135, so what, like 12%?
Yeah.
To fix my Zabralo, and it went from 6 out of 85 to.
And how much would it have been through proper?
It was like 112K or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that it normally when you repair, it lowers the maximum durability, but the minimum, like the numerator and the denominator are equal. In this case, it went to 74 over 76. So it repaired it, but not fully.
I've never seen that. I've repaired countless armors with the repair kit these past few days, and it's always the same. 46 out of 46, 80 out of 80, whatever.
Let me do another Zabralo that's 33 out of 62. I'm sorry. Oh, it's out of 62. Gotcha. It will take 42 points. I'm just going to do this for testing. And in this case, it was 52 over 52. Why is this 70?
People are saying they've had that problem even outside of repair kits.
Compare your skills? What the fuck? What skills are relative here? Does anybody know?
Well, for the weapon one, basically the only use for the weapon repair kit is to buy 100,000 broken guns off fence, repair them all with the repair kit, because you increase your weapon maintenance skill. And at higher weapon maintenance skill, you can repair guns into the red a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, fuck me. Well, I mean, now I get to use a Zabralo for a single raid before I realize, oh, these are dog shit, because I feels like I'm running around in quicksand.
Dude, they're
and
so
I still will get one
this
tapped by a fucking flechette.
They're so good this wipe if you can cover your legs. Zabralos, man. The movement penalty is insane, but like with how, dude, flesh damage is king this wipe. With how the damage propagates now, and like and with the availability of like I said, the FMJ for 45. So if the most common round in the is like basically a leg or arm meta ammo, and then you've got flechette, and then you've got magnum, and then you've got all this stuff. Covering limbs is meta this wipe, and having a class 6, bro, I went on like a 14 raid streak on factory with a Zabralo. I used it from I killed a guy that had a brand new 85 out of 85 Zabralo. I killed him by zeroing it. I repaired it, and then I used it until it was like 40 out of 40. Like I repaired it, and it was like 40 out of 40, and I still went in the raid with it. Like I went on a streak with Zabralo.
Were you wearing like an Alton?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Interesting.
You just gotta cover the legs, baby. Cover the legs, and then you're set.
What, with like the environment?
Yes.
Cover
or jump. You just don't let him. Never let him see the legs. Lean around corners.
I don't know that I've died to like. I haven't died to like flesh damage anything.
Oh, are you kidding, dude?
It's either flechette or like AP, like someone using an
I feel like I died to the stomach.
An UMP or an MP7.
I feel like I died to the stomach more than the thorax and head combined.
I was going to say, so if I'm rocking like the AVS, that you get from Tagilla or a lot of the other armors that don't, I guess I do die to like Magnum Buck or even just normal buckshot to the stomach a lot. But yeah, so I guess I never consider the stomach as flesh damage.
Yeah. Do you want to feel powerful? You want to feel powerful, Veritas? Get an Altner.
Play a different game.
Play Trackmania. Get an Altner, a wrist T. Okay, get a Zabralo. Go into a factory raid and pop a Meldonin, a Zagustin, and a Propital. And you are unkillable. It's insane. Because
what does Meldonin do
Meldonin gives you like strength, endurance, a bunch of skills, and it reduces the amount of damage you take to every limb except your head by like 9 or 10%. So you're just taking less damage. The Zagustin means for 3 minutes, you will not bleed no matter what. And then the Propital is a painkiller and it heals you. Like, dude, you are unkillable. Like, unless somebody is like Magnum Buck, boom, boom, boom to the legs, you are power incarnate. Like, you are just...
All right, well, I'll put that to the test.
Or unless you find Tagillo with the Agolnik, because then armor doesn't matter to Agolnik, and the bug is still in the game where he shoots you once and it hits you 11 times, so...
Dude, I just unloaded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 60-round mags filled with Agolnik that I got.
Yeah.
Tagilla's spawn rate seems like it's 85%.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Which I'm fine with.
Me too. It's fun.
Because like some of my favorite factory raids now are run in, kill a PMC, kill Tagilla, get the fuck out.
Yep.
Mostly just because like I'm hoping, I've heard all these rumors of like I get a red key card from Tagilla.
Yeah.
Whatever. So like I feel like I'm playing that roulette, similar to like Diablo, where
sure.
you go in, teleport to like the Countess, she drop a rune or like a key or whatever, or but that was like 1 in every 100 things you would do.
Yep.
Yeah. So I kind of like that.
Yep.
Meta.
For sure. So that's most of the changes, quality of life stuff that came with the patch. This is an interesting one. Okay, so you saw in the podcast, they talked about making certain items like a screwdriver. You wouldn't break your screwdriver every time you used it.
Yeah, I've been doing some crafting and it's kind of nice.
Okay. What's interesting though is that like it always returns the screwdriver to you at the top of your stash and you have to go put it back where it was. You know what I mean? It consumes the screwdriver and then it can't put it back where it was because maybe if you put something there, if it was like a 40-hour craft, you put something in your junk box, can't put it back where it was.
It should just not fucking... Exactly. It doesn't need to touch it. It should just make it like a checkbox requirement. Like, oh, he has it.
Yeah,
but don't touch it.
Or even
damn it, dude.
Or even make it non-sellable. Like, you know what I mean? Like because it selects one, make it so like you can't sell it to traders, you can't sell it on the flea market while it's still tied to that craft, but you can move it around or you could not move it. If it's in a junk box randomly somewhere, that's fine, but don't remove it from my stash because then they always put it back at the top every time.
I'd be fine even if it like gave you the checkbox like that you could use it and then you could sell it. Like it doesn't seem to be that much of an issue. Like
it doesn't seem that much of an issue now. In theory, this change is really only meaningful when those items are rare. Like, you know what I mean? If a sewing kit is like really rare, but it unlocks all these different crafts, you know what I mean? Like,
but if you're gonna sell it, then you're getting rid of the rare thing. Like you're way better off keeping it. So like if all it does, because before it would consume it, now.
Yeah, but it would like if you found a red key card, you know what I mean? You'd get to loot it once before you sold it. Like maybe you got a few LEDXs, like I don't know. It's essentially the same thing. You find a rare item, you can use it for like a craft, something really that you need for a task or something, and then get rid of it. I don't know.
Oh, assuming that it's something in the future that is like really expensive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because like that, the whole
maybe it just takes away the found in raid tag when you use it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, seriously, or something like that. Like, but it doesn't have to consume it and then plop it back at the top of your stash.
Yeah.
But that's not that big of a deal. It's just something I noticed. Okay, so that's like the patch. That's all the stuff that came. some bug fixes, some performance. It really does feel like the performance is better. Oh, okay. So have you seen any of the teases, any of the things that have been going on? Have you seen the tinfoil hattery that's been happening these past few days?
People have been coming in to chat like, dog, did you hear? I'm like, I don't fucking care. I don't want to talk about Tarkov. Look at the category. So honestly, like, I just, I haven't really cared because it just seems like more of the rumor mill shit where it's like, did you hear about this guy is maybe a cultist? And it's like, cool. Why do I care when I'm into Tarkov? When I'm not really feeling Tarkov, I still don't care about some rando's theory.
I mean, I love it, dude. I love that stuff. I love the lore. I love thinking about all that kind of stuff. I get that it's not for everybody. I get that some people don't care, but I love it. But basically, here's it in a nutshell. Nikita posted before the podcast, like right before they announced there was going to be a podcast, with the podcast that happened like a few weeks ago, Nikita tweeted a Streets tease with the little chicken. So Streets tease, and then the podcast came like the next day. We got absolutely nothing, no info on Streets on that thing. And then he posted a screenshot of it. It's like an office building, it feels like, of a door, like a super secure metal door, though. Is
that the one with like a room key, a room number, like 317?
428. Yes, 428. And it had a key, and like somebody was trying to bust in there. The door's all busted up. Out in the distance, you see through the window tall buildings and cranes, and it has the aesthetic of Streets. You know what I mean? Like Lighthouse is like, a beachy town. All those buildings are very different than the like high rises of Streets. He posted that. Of course, Pestily posted that 4/28, April 28th is a Thursday. So, it was like Thursday. And then like Nice Guy made a video about how like he thought, anyways, it's just another seemingly Streets related tease. And then
dude, I love how you can see something out the window in that picture.
Yeah.
Dude, my brightness is so bright so that only I can see in Tarkov that it's purely white.
That's funny.
Whenever I need to see shit, I need to look in OBS to see what I'm looking at. Otherwise, funny. It's pure white. Like I don't see clouds. I don't see anything in the sky.
That's crazy.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, keep going.
So there's a tinfoil hat theory that like we get the first iteration of Streets and the Lighthouse expansion on the 28th of April, which is like
in like a week and a half. Yeah, okay, dude.
I don't think so either. Get
those views, Nice Guy. Get those views,
yeah, basically buddy. The thought is that like, listen, I don't think it's going to happen either, but the thought is 11 months ago, they showed us the Battle for Concordia trailer, and Nikita said into the microphone, this area of Streets is done. All we need to do is go through and add the loot to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's been 11 months, right? And then there's the 428 and all the Streets teases. And then like when you watch, so all the teases that they've shown us for Streets, you know how like when you play Tarkov, there's always a version number in the bottom left hand of the screen. We've known forever that like 0.13 is the Streets patch. That's why we're into 12.12. It used to be like 9, 9.5, 10, 10.5, and we're like 12, 12.3,
I'm assuming
12.5.
It's 12.12 in the lower left-hand corner.
Right now, but on all of the Streets teases, it's always been 13.0, 0.2, 0.6, 0.7, or whatever.
I've seen some that have been 12 whatever, but okay.
Or at least the Battle for Concordia one, the most recent one was.
The Cost of Concordia?
Yes, such a great video. The Lighthouse trailer that they showed us during that podcast for the Lighthouse expansion was on version 0.13, 0.0, 0.7, 0.3, whatever. So that could just be a build version that they test on, or it could be tinfoil hat conspiracy that it's because
I'm sure it's a branch.
Yeah, yes.
It might even auto generate. Like most of the time, most software I work on, they run a script every time there's a build that auto increments that number.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm just saying that's the supporting evidence for like maybe we get this surprise. Maybe they're holding out and they get a surprise.
Maybe Nikita flies directly to my house and gives me the fucking source code tomorrow.
Exactly. Like we can't say it won't happen, but So here's what I think, though. My take on it is there's definitely something brewing with Streets for this year because Nikita keeps teasing it and they keep talking about it. And remember, we said in the Lighthouse podcast, he was like, there's more we wanted to show you, but we had to push it last minute. And then the podcast was only like 40 minutes long. It was super short. I think,
okay.
No, I think we get like a Streets trailer soon. Maybe not on 428. I think we get a Streets trailer soon. Like, I don't think we're getting the first iteration. And the biggest thing for me is that would, like, if I'm Battlestate Games, I'm going to use Streets of Tarkov to sell more copies of the game, right? It's the most anticipated thing in the entire game. Like, I would like, the months leading up to Streets, I'd be putting out trailers. I would do game sales. I would do marketing events. I would do big Twitch streams and dev blogs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't just be like the biggest, most important thing to ever come to the game that we've been waiting for 4 years. I wouldn't be like, surprise. You know what I mean? Like, I would drag that out. So I think we might get like a trailer or something soon for Streets. But I don't think there's a wipe. I don't think we're getting the patch. Like, people started freaking out, but I really, really don't think that we're getting the game. We're getting Streets anytime soon.
Okay. Well, I'm with you there. I don't think we're going to get jack shit.
It was just funny. And like, I love it. I love the lore and the leaks, and Nikita's like a masterclass. What's crazy about BSG is that like sometimes they post a picture and like 428, right? It's April right now and April 28th is a Thursday. That's a good meme, right?
Yeah, Nostradamus would get rock hard over that.
Yeah, like but here's the deal. Battlestate Games, there's an equal amount of times that they've done that and been like, yeah, that meant nothing. Literally, it was just the first number our intern could think. But in the same vein, there's an equal number of times that they were like, oh yeah, the article number of the newspaper laying on the table in the background of this picture was the day of the wipe. Like, the whole 12/12 on 12/12, there were these huge camps of people that were like, no, it's not going to be on 12/12. In Russia, they use a different date system. But then there were all these people like, look at all the articles and the this and then that. And then it was 12/12. So like,
yeah, in Russia, they put the month before the day, not the day before the month. Fuck you. Oh, wait.
Yeah. So
12/12.
So it's hard to tell because they literally sometimes they just like claim ignorance. They're like, oh no, it was just a meme. And then sometimes it was totally like leaks. You know what I mean?
You can't release anything and have it not have a number in it. Right?
For sure.
As soon as there's a number, it's literally Nostradamus shit. It's Harold Camping where, you know, if you take did you see the Camping at the End of the World? Another internet history. This is the video sponsored by. It's the guy who said the world was going to end. Like the super religious crazy guy who said the world was going to end on whatever the day was. Like it kind of lined up with like the Mayan calendar bullshit. But it was literally like you look at this passage and you take the number of characters and you multiply it by 12 because there's 12 virgins that whatever. And then you divide it by 7 and it says this is the date.
Yep.
And it happened like 7 times. That's the level of some of this shit that I'm like,
yeah,
if there's a hidden thing here, cool. But you need to make it, in my opinion, you need to make it a little bit more overt. I'm fine with them making it more complicated, but there needs to be like this is a fucking riddle. Yeah. Like, remember back in the day, they used to have like the cryptic, like staticky Morse code thing that was the ARG, right? Yes. Which I don't even know if that was directly tied to BSG or if there was some linkage. I think it was maybe separate, but like, you know that those were codes. Yeah. But it kind of reminds me of, you ever do those lateral thinking problems? I remember my uncle used to have one of those lateral thinking problem books. Where they're like little puzzles. And the joke was I would read through them with like my family and stuff when I was like little. Mm-hmm. And we'd all laugh at how bad they were. Because it was always like a man is drinking tea from a mug in his living room. He suddenly gets blinded. What happened? Yeah. Do you know what happened? No.
I'm terrible.
He left the spoon in the cup, so when he went to do it stabbed him in the eye, and it was like, that's the answer? Like, there's an infinite number. There was a sniper outside that shot him in the eye.
A solar flare.
He had a stroke, right? Like, there's an infinite number of things that you could conceive of, but one of them is the right answer.
Yeah.
And there's no way, there's no logical way of it. That's what BSG, it feels like that, where it's like, it could be a code, but you don't even know if it's a code or not.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel
they should fucking, put a big red thing saying this is a code, figure it out, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Now, then the next day they released this little video of the rogues hanging out on Lighthouse. Did you see that? It was like it was a nighttime. There's two rogues standing by a fire. They're like checking their mag, and it's all the like 41 voices. He's like, I'm getting tired of all this, and then like a rogue walks on one of the connexes up top, and in the distance, as the sun is setting, you see the lighthouse, and the lighthouse is blinking in Morse code, and the Morse code,
fuck off.
The Morse code translates to red scav, friend or foe, and nobody knows what it means, but they posted that yesterday.
I can tell you what that means.
2 days ago. Tell me.
I bet you they're going to do what we've fucking been asking them for a while and add some sort of indication that they're a negative rep scav. Remember how they're like, outline them in red or whatever? That seems to me to be the most plausible.
Maybe.
But that's also a good indicator because a lighthouse normally has a regular pulse. So as soon as it's irregular, now I fully believe that that's like a hint, or like a clue to a hidden riddle.
Yeah.
Don't just put a number on the wall and be like, haha, you didn't guess. I could spend all day figuring out like what's the prime factorization of this number and how many characters were in the tweet and divided by the no way.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good example. I like that.
Yeah, so we don't
red scav, friend or foe.
Yeah.
It has to be that maybe they're tattooed with like fucking red, or maybe they have a red armband.
Yeah, or something. Bloody clothes.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That would make me literally still be unable to get my negative 8.5 scav karma up.
So that was a more lighthouse. Well, it was interesting because it seemed like a lighthouse tease because we know the lighthouse expansion is coming, but then it didn't have it. Like, it was the whole red scav thing, so I don't know. But they've been pretty active with the teasing, so I don't know. Maybe we'll see something soonish. I don't know. Literally impossible to know these days. But yeah, that's the Tarkov news.
How long have we been going for? I can't tell if it's been 20 minutes or 3 hours.
1 hour and 56 minutes.
Oh fuck. Okay. Real quick. Well, maybe we talk about the aiming dead zone thing next week.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, if it's that last thing, this makes me so sad.
Oh, well, we can quickly say that really quickly. Because you mentioned this at the last podcast about how the grenades annoyed you, like the randomness. I asked Nikita, his response was, yeah, that's intended. And his response was like, it didn't seem like he was going to budge.
He wasn't
like,
interested in why, which is I'm so sad about that. I'm sad about that, not just because, I'm sad about it because it seems so counter to how he wants to make this game. Like, it just seems so against player choice. Like, yes, you can turn the grenade keybind into 14 different separate binds that are all conditional on each other so you can throw the grenade you want to throw. It's just dumb. It was a perfect system before. I have
a feeling it was in response to people just spamming nades and hating it, so it was like this would slow it down, but I mean it doesn't. It makes more sense. It makes sense as a BSG fix for an issue that all it does is fuck over the non-problematic people.
Literally doesn't.
You're gonna have 27 RGDs if you're one of the grenade spammers, so you just hit G and then mouse click.
100%. 100%.
So there's that. I mean, I don't really give a fuck because I just end up killing myself with nades. So I was like, cool, Nikita, sounds good to me. Great call. Like, whatever. I wasn't fighting for it.
Dude.
But so the last thing I want to talk about really quickly, which is going to be hard to make it quick, but I had another idea. Remember how we talked about how like we want the beginning of wipe experience to last longer? We talked about like aiming dead zone, maybe that whole swaying thing is going to make it better. Maybe there's more recoil, maybe whatever, right? And we also talked about like limiting ammo and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Watching all of the history of, I'm working on another video that is different from history of Tarkov, but it's adjacent to that.
Okay.
It's, yeah, I won't spoil anything, but I'm excited to put it together. But one thing I noticed when I was going back and watching old shit is that everybody's fucking rocking iron sights or a PKO6 for the first like 2, 3, 4 years that we were all playing the game. And then now everybody's rocking a Voodoo or whatever. So imagine if anything more than like a PSO or like a 2X or whatever, because a PSO is like, that used to be the like epitome of long range optics. When you had an AK-74 with a PSO, you were sniping.
Yep.
Because the sniper scopes have always been hot garbage. Like maybe an L-can or whatever, but those were even kind of rare at the beginning. Imagine if any of the long range optics were like some of the rarest items in the game, or like the mid range LPVOs. Imagine how if combat was red dots or iron sights for the vast majority of the wipe, and you couldn't buy LPVOs or sell them or buy them on the flea market if they were only in raid. Imagine how different the fights would be when you just have iron sights and it's 150 meters. Like, you're going to be like, bang, oh shit, bang. You're not going to full auto anybody, you know? Like,
that's
I feel like that would change the game.
That's a really interesting point. Like, I can hear the revolt brewing because LPVOs are so meta. Like, the best people in the game either point fire or use a Voodoo. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah, there's no in between.
The holographics.
Exactly.
Right?
There's no in between. The 1Xs are really clean and crispy and snappy, and point fire is insanely accurate in this game. There is no reason to use a red dot. That would be really interesting. Like, I would de
facto increase the time, not time to kill, but the amount of time per engagement.
Yeah, time to hit a successful shot. Whether you were like a prey and sprayer, it would still make it harder to hit a shot. Or if you were a line it up kind of guy, it'd still make it harder to hit the shot. So like the time from target acquisition to successful hit would increase. You wouldn't have to change the damage, the pen. You wouldn't have to change the HP pool of the person or the armor value. It would just be harder to hit shots.
Imagine when you spawn on shoreline and you're like running through the open grass. If someone one-taps me from 200 yards away with a 1X EOTech.
Yeah.
Good on, like that amazing shot, dude. That's rad, right?
Yeah.
But when everybody's got a 6X that literally you hit shift and it doesn't move.
Yeah.
And you run linearly and you can just click. It's way too easy, you know? So that's kind of a backhanded way of making it harder to aim. I mean, I think they should do a lot of things. Limit the armor, limit the ammo, whatever. But also, I feel like, dude, fighting was so much fun when it was mid-range, like stock AK-74 to stock AK-74, just being like, a bang, 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 like, oh shit, you know, because the recoil is that much worse when you have to line up that front sight again. And I feel like it'd be so much more fun, dude.
Yeah, no, that's, and a lot of the things, actually, a lot of the things like that actually mean it's more of a best of both worlds, because then it means when you find a razor, like a Vortex razor, you're like, hell yeah, and you feel good. And that also means when you kill a guy with one, you were like, oh, I'm so glad he missed his shot. This is sick. You know what I mean?
Like picking up a thermal now.
Yes, it means that on average, the fights last a little bit longer, and it also means that the loot is cooler and rarer and more meaningful to you because you found something like super valuable and fun. It's the same thing with armor, right? Like when we talk about like limiting the armor, that's why I like changes like that. I don't like changes where it's like, let's just increase the pen of BP and see what happens. Like, I like changes where it's like, let's just make BP less available, because that it's a win-win. It means that effectively the fighting is similar to if you lowered the pen, because now you're just using PS with lower pen, but it means if you find some, you're like, oh yes, and maybe you load up a mag and you take it to labs or something. So it's kind of a win-win. So I like that with armor, with ammo, and I hadn't really considered before, but yes, attachments. Suppressors would be another good one too. Suppressors and LPVOs to make them more found and raid only, not sellable on the flea market, and much more restricted from the traders. It would just mean it would feel so cool to be able to like kit out a gun, like, oh, now I've got this AK, I've got the ball and waffle suppressor I found in raid 3 days ago. I found a Vortex. Like, let's go, tap some people. Like, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, especially when they actually make subsonic a thing. Like right now, suppressors, unless it's a DVL, they're like meaningless.
Yeah.
At least to me.
It's
but
more
when
for
they actually
recoil, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, also you have. I think they balanced it by adding to the weapon malfunction and or like that was actually a decent nerf to like suppressors, where now it's not necessarily always worth having a suppressor. I'd be fine. I don't really care if they do anything with suppressors until they make it so that it actually works to make your bullets fucking. If you're 80 meters away and you have a suppressor and you're using subsonic, then I'm fine with like you not being able to hear shit as long as they're rare as fuck.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's OP because everybody's always going to use it. They'll be like DVLs where all you hear is the little fucking bullets landing next to you, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, you have no idea.
But think about how right now I hate sniping because you're so vulnerable. Even if you get in a good spot, if anybody sees you, it's trivial to one tap you. But now, imagine you're on customs, you spawn and you're on the bridge, right? You're trying to do Shooter Born in Heaven. And everybody running around you, they've all got red dots or iron sights.
Yeah.
You are now actually like, I'm a unique entity.
Yeah.
But right now, everybody is a close quarters, mid-range, and long-range death machine.
Yep.
But now it makes it so that you probably don't want to take your LPVO into dorms. But you might want to hit up prone on the hill and snipe with it.
Yeah.
So it would actually make different play styles more, more exciting. Yep. I'm actually gonna mention this to Nikita.
Dude,
like, you ever consider like reducing the rarity a ton?
I honestly think that like I agree. I don't think that change is going to come at all until we're at more of like a vertical slice. They have all the mechanics they wanted because it's exactly what we've talked about with the ammo. The found in raid loot is so bad in Tarkov. It's so bad. Any of the static armor spawns are all 3Ms or P.A.K.A.s. You know what I mean? All of the static
all the good shit's on raiders and rogues.
All of the static bag spawns are MBSSs or scav backpacks. You can find a slick every once in a while in a stash, yeah, for sure. All the ammo spawns in the game are really bad. It's either BS, you know what I mean? It's good 545. It's either BS BT or 762 PS or Keter ammo. There's no Western rounds. There's no 556. All of those loot pools were made in 0.6 when there were a seventh of the amount of guns in the game. And so it feels like that when they want to get to more feature complete, but like for a survival game, the looting is atrocious. It's all killing the best AI in the game or killing the players or finding treasure loot that I then just sell and find loot. Like, you don't find really good suppressors. You don't find really good attachments. You don't find really good optics, really, save for a few spots. And so, like, there's so much potential for this game, though, to do that. For them to do, like, big sweeping balancing changes without having to change the guns, the ammo, the armor, the values, but doing it with rarity in game. And so I really hope that maybe once we get, like, streets and there's a lot more, they're going to go back and change those pools, because that would be so sick. There's so much they could do with that stuff without having to change anything. Or, like, without having to change health and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it seems whack, some of the distributions, now that I think about it. Like I have, let me look, if I try to load, I've got 1,200 rounds of BP. I have 300 rounds of MAI AP 762, which is like a nutty round.
Yep, super nutty.
I just went to load a 60 round magazine. I have 500 rounds of BS and 700 rounds of Eagolnik.
Yeah, I've got tons of Eagolnik.
And I've got 13 9mm AP.
Yep.
And 9mm AP is mediocre as fuck compared to every other round in the game, right? So it's like, it's those things that just make me wonder, like, if they're, to what extent they're out of touch with things.
Yeah.
You'd think that by now they would have. I'm totally fine with them tweaking stuff and changing it, but you think by now they would have been like, let's reduce the amount of Eagolnik on every single fucking raider and or Tagilla, and then make it so that 50% of the scavs that have 9mm, in their STMs, have AP, or make it so that their mags, maybe one mag is AP, another mag is half AP, half PST, so that, like, you don't know. It's worth looking, because right now you look at one mag and you know what they have.
Yep.
But we are all fucking mixed matched Andes, with a million different. Yeah, I completely agree.
I just like, it seems like they have no interest in thinking critically about that until the end. It seems that every time they make a change to ammo like that, it's only in response to a complaint. Like, and that's just the best way I can put it. Of all the changes,
it's in response to some complaints.
Oh yeah,
though.
no, I'm not even saying it's in response to the right complaints. I'm just saying that if the track record of like what's available on bosses, on rogues, what's available from the traders and what's not, all of the individual changes have felt so out of touch. It just feels like they're not even taking the time to think critically about the thing as a whole, and they're just being like, what are people complaining about? 9 mil, we'll just take it off the trader. And it's just in the vacuum, you know what I mean? They're not thinking it's like, well, this round is infinitely more available. Now, I
think we get
justify that by saying, well, that's because at the end, they're going to then sit down and think critically and do it all top to bottom. And they're like, we have other guns that are going to be added to the game, other calibers that are going to be added to the game, other types of weapons that are going to be added to the game. So doing a full rebalance pass every time, you know, that's what I tell myself so that I can sleep at night.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that they condition us. Like, on one hand, we have to think about all the things we just said. On one hand, it's they make all these changes because of like community response, and then the justification is, well, they're like tweaking things and they're figuring it out and they're experimenting. So it's like, okay, then we have to accept that they're going to be making changes. Yeah. So we're no longer going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
So from BSG's perspective, they might think that everything's fine because nobody's talking about it anymore because we've all just convinced ourselves that this is...
Yeah, oh, I get it, yeah.
They're just experimenting, dude. They'll figure it out. It's the same people who say this is a beta when you're criticizing a feature. Yeah. It's like, if I'm not criticizing it, then the beta will be the product.
Yep.
Because clearly their playtesters and their QA don't catch all of these fucking things all the time. So either we're an important part of the process and our feedback is important and should be taken into consideration, or we're just the fucking players and they don't give a shit and we need to take what they give us.
Yep.
Which is it?
Yep. No, I get it. I totally get it.
Now, in my opinion, it's a middle ground, but
yeah, exactly. Which is the worst because then because then people don't know what to expect. People don't know if their criticism is going to be taken to heart or if they're just not going to do it. It's not consistent, and so people don't know what to do. And that's how you get the split in the community. The people that, you know, criticize a lot and complain a lot, and the people that are like, just wait, they're going to figure it out. It's a beta, because their actions aren't necessarily consistent. But
I've got my Zabralo and my wrist tee and a fucking decked out AK-105 filled with a waffle. The first waffle suppressor I've used all white. And I'm gonna go in the factory and I'm gonna fucking insta-die to Flechette and I'm gonna unsubscribe.
Dude, get a Meldonin. Get a Meldonin.
Oh god, how much are they? Like a bajillion
like
rubles? You know that
50K.
Meldonin 78K. They probably went up since you fucking
probably.
Oh, I don't have enough money. Fucking dude, I hate everything. Where'd all your money go, dude? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 junk boxes full of like LEDXs, roosters, Tetris, RFIDs, all found in raid and whatever. And I just can't be fucking bothered to sell.
Yeah.
Because I'll spend 2 hours selling on the flea market to make a bunch of money and I'll play one raid and rage quit. So like, why does it matter that I have fucking money?
Yeah, dude. Yep. I got fat stacks.
Eat shit.
All right, man.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. I don't know how I have money. I die all the time.
You've got teammates to take your shit, banging.
Dude, recently insurance has been real bad. Yeah, I don't know.
You got that sealable bag insurance.
Got that sealable, dude. That sealable prime. Yep, 100%. 100%.
He just seals your loot up right in that little bag,
dude, and just sends it right out. So yeah, I think that's about everything. A lot of stuff happened this week. The patch was pretty surprising. It was just like boom, DLSS plus all this other stuff, which we didn't realize was coming. That's exciting. We've been getting lots of leaks. I'd love to hear something too. My expectations are a rock bottom for new content being added to this game in the next few weeks. But I'd love a podcast. I'd love a freaking Streets trailer. Something like that would be pretty cool. So we shall see. I'm going to go die a lot more in Tarkov, and you're going to go on like a 47 factory streak right now. I'm
going to go on a 47-second factory streak before I switch to Trackmania.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for hanging. Thanks for hanging with us live. This will be live on the podcast platforms soon, Monday, Saturday podcast. So the downtime will be less in between. Thank you guys for hanging. We'll definitely see y'all in the next one.
Peace.